Guys, I don't like change. I don't like it. I'm okay with it when I initiate the change. I do not like it when God kind of makes me change. I don't know about you, but that's my opinion. I think that God loves change because I think that He uses it to shake out sin, to put us on a different path, to grow us. But for us, it feels scary and it can be sad and it can be um, lonely and it can be a place where we just say, no, I'm not going to do that, God. I'm not going to do that. And this last couple months, I have made some big changes in my life. I've actually been staying home with my kids. So, for any mom that has done that before, you know it's kind of a dramatic change. You no longer have coworkers. Your sense of purpose and being is completely different because you don't have goals at work or things like that. So, anyway, think about a change that you have in your life. It could be a change of job, it could be a change of city or house or school or divorce or sickness or anything that's going on. How are you doing? How are you doing with the change? I would love for you to write it in the comments below just because I want to know and pray for you. But we're going to look today at the Bible and what a couple characters and how they deal with change. So first we're going to go to Jonah. You know, Jonah is one of my favorites. I appreciate his sassitude. Jonah, we don't mince words in Jonah. So you start off at Jonah 1:1. There's only 4 chapters in Jonah, so you really don't mince words. It is a short, succinct story. But in Jonah 1:1, it says, "The word of the Lord came to Jonah, son of Amittai. Go to the great city of Nineveh and preach against it, because its wickedness has come up before me." Jonah doesn't go on a long rant, doesn't think about it, doesn't go and then come back. Jonah, it says, ran away from the Lord and headed to Tarshish. Like, that is the next verse. He just, nope, not doing it, Lord. He could have packed up all his belongings and said goodbye to everybody and headed off to Nineveh. And instead, he did the same thing and just went the opposite direction. Like, just not having it at all. And as we know, the rest of the story, Jonah just, he gets on the boat, he goes towards Tarshish. They throw him off of the boat because there's a big storm and it's his fault. The big whale or fish swallows him up. Jonah has kind of a come to Jesus moment within the whale, as you would. He spits him out, the whale spits him out on the land, and he heads off to Nineveh. Not very happy about it, but doing God's will, right? So he gets to Nineveh, and he does what God asked him to do, and the Ninevites repent. They turn away from their sin, they turn towards God, and God spares the Ninevites. Jonah, this makes him so angry because he hates the Ninevites. He didn't want this. He'd rather have the destruction of the Ninevites than the saving, than God's grace on them. And so he goes up and sits on a hill, and God has compassion on him. He asks him, though, this great question. He says, "Have you any right to be angry?" It's like, is this your fight, Jonah? Do you get to tell God what to do? Like, he asks him that question, and then he puts a vine up over his head to protect him and to comfort him, I guess. And then the vine gets eaten up by a worm. And Jonah is full drama at this point, and he says, "It would be better for me to die than to live." And God says again, "Do you have the right to be angry about the vine?" And then God corrects him there at the end, and this is Jonah 4, 9 and 10. But I love in this the question that God asked him, and I think that is sometimes the first question we need in change, because I don't know about you, but my initial reaction is just to get angry. Like, this is not what I wanted, this is not okay, and I get angry. And that is the question that God asks for us, is, have you any right to be angry? And then just sit in that with God, right? Just go back to him. But I love that not only did God ask that question, but he sat there with Jonah. He gave him comfort, even though he was throwing a big fit like a toddler, right? So then we switch over to Elijah. And Elijah I appreciate too. Elijah, he's in the middle of this big mess. He's in a big mess in Israel. Queen Jezebel is there, and King Ahab. Queen Jezebel is a big believer in Baal, and she's taken basically all of Israel with her to worship Baal. Elijah knows better, right? And God tells Elijah to go present himself to Ahab. Now, Ahab has been looking for him this whole time because he blames him for it not raining at all. Because God has let no rain fall on Israel during this time. Probably because everybody's not worshiping him, right? Is worshiping Baal, and that's not good. So anyway, he tells Elijah, go find Ahab. I'm going to make it rain. So Elijah goes. I mean, he's been waiting for this change. He's like, this is something I have been waiting for this whole time. I am psyched. I am going. And he goes. He goes and finds Obadiah, who is Elijah's servant, and read Obadiah's response when Elijah shows up to him, because it's fabulous. Because it's literally like a whole chapter of Obadiah just freaking out, like, why would you tell me to do that? He's gonna kill me. And it's a lot of drama, and I appreciate it. So read that. But he goes and he said, okay, Ahab, let's go up on Mount Carmel. We're gonna have this out. You bring all of your prophets of Baal, and I will come, and we will ask for our gods to send down fire on this bull that they put on this altar. And so the people of Baal go, nothing happens. Elijah goes, calls on God's name, and he sends down fire. And this is the moment that Elijah's been waiting for, right? Elijah's like, yes, God has proved himself that he is the God. They go, end up slaughtering all of the prophets of Baal. And at that moment, I can just feel, at least what I think that Elijah felt, was just relief that, like, this time was finally over. King Ahab had been following him, and now he is free, right? Jezebel is not having that. Jezebel is continuing to follow him through all of this and trying to kill him. And so Elijah goes and he hides in a cave. And that is where God meets him. God comes to him as he's scared, and he just says, Elijah, what are you doing here? Like, you're hiding in your fear. What's going on? And God, you've heard kind of everything we fixed with a snack and a nap. God gives him a couple times a snack and a nap. He says, the angel touched him and said, get up and eat. He looked around, there by his head was a cake of bread and baked over hot coals and a jar of water. And he ate and drank, and then he laid down again. And just the compassion that God shows to him here, like, I know you're scared. This is not what you anticipated happening. And he just loves him in this moment, but also corrects him. Like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? And then God, this is all in 1 Kings 18 and 19. So Elijah is still upset, very upset, as you would be if someone's trying to kill you. And God basically tells them, like, go back the way you came and go to the desert of Damascus. When you get there, anoint Hazael king over Aram. Also anoint Jehu, son of Nimshi, king over Israel, and anoint Elisha, son of Shaphat, from, all of these hard words, Abel, Manoah, to succeed you as a prophet. He gave him Elijah, kind of as a friend. So nap and a snack and comfort and a kind of change of trajectory. Like, what are you doing here? And then gave him a friend that can go along with him through the rest of his time in Elisha. So as you're and during that time too, the biggest part that I forgot is God came to Elijah. There was an earthquake. There was I feel like it was a massive wind. There was other things that happened, and God came to him, in a fire, an earthquake, a wind, but God came to him in a gentle whisper. Like, I think that just shows such compassion on God's part. He could have come in any number of forms and any power, but he came in a whisper. It was, I just see it as like a love note to Elijah. Like, I love you. You know, you are scared, you are hurting, but I'm here with you. So if you're in the scared section of the change, there's that for you. And then the last part I want to point out is Peter. I appreciate Peter as well. I think Peter has a lot of excitement about following Jesus. I feel like he is just fun. Jesus called Peter to be his disciple, and he's like, yes, let's do it. Followed him all through these things, the healings, the everything, all around, right? All around Israel. And they go through all of these things. And there's times, you know, like they're in the boat and the storm comes up and Jesus calms the storm and everybody's like, who is this man? And like Peter believes that he is the Son of God, right? That he knows that has been sent to take away the sins of the world. But when Peter is in the boat and Jesus is walking across the water to him, and Jesus asks him to come out on the water, he comes out in the water and freaks out and starts to sink. And immediately Jesus grabs his hand and says, why do you doubt? Why did you doubt? Like, he even said that in the boat when the storm was happening, like, why, you have little faith, like, why do you doubt, right? And so as I've questioned the direction that we're going in the change, and am I really supposed to be staying home? Am I really supposed to be doing this? Like, that has come up to me many times. Like, why do you doubt, right? It's Jesus. You know, if Jesus has called you into this new thing, why do you doubt? And then secondly, with Peter, what he dreaded most, the Jesus that he was following, and he actually said, never, God, you will never die and then come back to life. Like, no, I don't want it. What he dreaded most came into reality. And even on top of Jesus dying, Jesus told Peter that he was going to deny him 3 times before he died. And Peter's like, no, I'm never going to do that. And he did, right? And so Peter has fallen away. The worst thing has come to pass. He has denied Jesus, been like, no, I don't know him, right? And I think that at times we, during change or when something's happening, we're like, God, that's not how this is going to turn out. That's not how this is going to roll. That person can't die. That sickness shouldn't come. I'm not leaving this town. And we're just like, nope, that's not what you said. That's not what I'm going to do. And I love, again, Jesus's compassion on Peter, who has denied him, who is just a sad sack at this point. And he comes to him, and I'm trying to find the Bible verse as we talk. That's where he reaches out his hand. He says, so he comes to him and Jesus says, brings Peter to him. And he says, Simon, son of John, do you truly love me more than these? Yes, Lord, Peter says. You know that I love you. Jesus said, feed my lambs. Again, Jesus says, Simon, son of John, do you truly love me? And he answered, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. And Jesus said, take care of my sheep. The third time he said to him, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Peter was hurt because Jesus asked him a third time. Do you love me? He said. Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you. And he said, feed my sheep. And then he goes down below and he says, follow me. And this is John 21, the second half of that chapter. And that is kind of the fourth question that I ask myself. Like, do I love Jesus? As I go about all of the change, like, that's what gets me up and moving again. If I'm like, no, God, no. It's like, no, I love Jesus. I know that this is in his plan and I love him. And so what I love about that, let me go back, is that he restored Peter, and he restored him even after all of the denial and everything else. He came back and restored him and loves him. So to recap, Jonah ran and was mad. Jesus gave him the vine to protect him, or God gave him the vine to protect him, and a little life lesson at the same time. Elijah was scared. God gave him a snack and a nap, came to him in a whisper, and gave him a friend for the next steps in his journey. And Peter doubted and denied. Peter was all full bore, go, let's do it, God. We're going to go through all of this change together in his entire life. And then at the very end, doubted and denied. And Jesus, when he doubted, immediately gave him a hand and pulled him back up on the water. And when he denied, he restored him and even commissioned him. Like, he wasn't done with him just because he denied him, right? God was right there through all of the ways that we needed, all of the ways that these people in the Bible needed him to be. He was there, and he will be there for us through all of the change, the ups and downs, the things we don't understand. He will lift you when you are mad, afraid, hiding, avoiding, doubting, or even if you flat out said, I don't know you, God. This is not for me. He is still there. Change is rough. It shakes us up. It turns us around. It puts us on a different path. But God says in Deuteronomy 31:8 and Hebrews 13:5, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. Bye, guys.